So you've probably been told that you need 20 different exercises, a 6-day split to purely get the body that you want. That's complete bollocks. The most famous programs ever built literally contain 5 to 6 movements. People still got pretty good results from it. Today I'm going to break this down properly so you can see if it's worth trying. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to train, what to change, and how to modernize this routine so it builds muscle as quickly as possible. So if you don't know me, which you probably don't, I'm Josh Hetman. I lost 30 kilos in the space of 8 months, got in the best shape of my life for a photo shoot, and ran a 100K ultra marathon. And now coach hundreds of men to drop 5 to 10 kilos of body fat and build that back in lean muscle. So when I tell you what works, it's because I've been there, I've tried it, and I've learned from it. So what workout are we actually talking about? Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Golden 6 routine is a 3-day per week full body workout program. Only 6 exercises. Simple on paper. Absolutely brutal when done properly. Trust me, I've tried it. Let me break it down step by step. So the first movement he puts in is a barbell back squat, the godfather of all leg training. You hit it 4 sets of 10 reps every single session. Yeah, I know that's the only leg exercise in this whole entire workout. And before you say that's not enough, the heavy squats build such a big muscle building stimulus. Training them 3 times per week is like it's like getting hit by a bus, obviously in a good way. Next up is the classic barbell bench press. Everyone's favorite Monday chest pump. In fact, Arnold wanted you to do it 3 days per week, 3 sets of 10 reps. Like the squat, the bench gives you such a big muscle stimulus that you don't need a lot of volume. But with that said, and this is where I kind of disagree with that old school mentality, is the fact that doing this exercise with dumbbells will give you such a deeper stretch on your pecs. And when you have dumbbells, obviously you're working both arms at the same time. When you're obviously working a barbell, yes, you're still pushing it with both arms, but one will naturally sometimes be a little bit stronger than another. So within your early stages of training, you want to make sure that obviously you're naturally going to have one arm that's stronger than another, okay? So naturally you want to make sure that utilizing a specific training program, you're equaling the strength of obviously both arms over a period of time. And obviously barbell bench press is not really going to allow you to do that. But again, with that said, Arnold was kind of built different to us. He probably, like most of us, hunched over a screen and typing all day on a desk. So that's one thing that I would just change if you're going to try this program. Next up will be pull-ups. 3 sets of as many reps as you physically can. Done right, they hit your lats, upper traps, rear delts, your whole entire upper back. But the issue with this is not everybody can do 4, 5, even 6 reps of pull-ups, even with their own body weight. I would say around 5 to 6 is probably the lower end of obviously building muscle. So what I would suggest, again, just tweaking this program slightly, is 1, obviously you can use some resistance bands, obviously wrap it around the bar, put it across obviously the bottom of your soles of your shoes, and then naturally that will help obviously you get from point A to obviously point B, okay? Or, which naturally I would prefer, and I prefer these anyway over just normal pull-ups, just because I feel like it allows you to go much, much slower, get more out of the movement, is if your gym has it, I know some do, some don't, using an assisted pull-up machine. So obviously you put your knees on obviously the pad, and then obviously you just pull yourself up and adjust the weight accordingly, right? The reason why I prefer this is because, again, I like to train with a lot of time and attention, okay? So from the top part of the movement to the bottom, again, looking at a 4 or 5 second negative, right? Making lighter weights much heavier. It's better on my joints, but also I feel like mind to muscle connection is much, much easier to come by when I'm doing it that way. So if you're not quite there yet, they're the 2 other options that I would choose if you are, again, going to try this program. 4th movement, and this is where things get a little bit spicy, is behind the neck shoulder press. 4 sets of 10 every single session, and this is done with barbell. Some lifters swear by them, others say it destroys the shoulders. Me personally, I hate this movement. I really don't like it. I feel like it puts up pressure on my lower back. I feel like it strains my neck. It just doesn't put me in a comfortable position. If you've got good shoulder mobility, you can give this a try and see how you find it. But for the majority of people, they can't even scratch the back properly without getting obviously lower back cramp. Me personally, I would adjust that in the program to either do a overhead press, so you can do that with a barbell. Again, obviously bring the barbell down to your chest, and then obviously you push it up, and then again, obviously pushing your head forward as the barbell goes above your head. Or you can just do a standard machine shoulder press, or a standard dumbbell shoulder press. Naturally, if I was going to go for one of them, I would just go for a machine shoulder press or an overhead press. The reason for that is with dumbbells, it's not too much of an issue when obviously you're working with a lighter weight, but as you start to get it a bit heavier, if you haven't got a spot, naturally when you're trying to get the dumbbell up to the starting position, it can be quite difficult. And then obviously you've got to get them onto your shoulder to then get them obviously up in the air. So it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort before you even start your actual exercise. So naturally then that can impact obviously the strength within that particular set. Now for movement number 5 is standard barbell curls. 3 sets of 10 every single session. Thing with Arnold, back in the day, he used to use quite a lot of momentum, aka like cheating, to overload the eccentric part of the movement. So for clarity, the concentric of a bicep curl is obviously when you're curling it, and the eccentric is when obviously bringing it back to the lowering point. So yeah, the reason why I did that is because the eccentric part will build more muscle, right? But if you're new to lifting, you're trying to use momentum, the risk of injury will naturally increase. And with that said, some people can take that literally and just do all of the reps, so the whole entire set, just swinging back and forth, and that's not going to help anybody, right? So for you, let's say first 6-12 months of lifting, or you're like in and out of the gym for the past couple of years, I'll try and keep all of these exercises with pretty much perfect form. You're going to get maximum amount of muscle contraction, and you're going to feel the muscle so much more. And in the beginning, some people will say that like you beginners, because you get the newbie gains and stuff like that, and your body's not used to it, you don't really need like to put like arm movements in your biceps, your triceps, etc. But like even with me, like I was doing bicep curls probably before I even did chest and legs, etc. Right? But in my opinion, if you do have the time, you're in the gym anyway, you've made the time for the gym in your week, why would you not go in there and do arms? Because the majority of you lads want bigger arms. You want your arms hugging the sleeves. You want to look obviously like naturally bigger, right? And a lot of the time year round, you can have your arms out. So you want to look like you're obviously getting the results that you're doing in the gym. So fucking ignore them. Yeah, even though there might be a little bit of truth in that you don't really need to train arms that much as a beginner, like you want bigger arms. So why not train them, or why not get them to the point where you're happy with in a short amount of time? Final movement, bent knee sit-ups, 3 sets, every single set complete to failure. But just while we're on that point, to build your abs, you don't need specific ab exercises. Naturally, it's going to help, but you're only going to see them when you have a low enough amount of body fat. Training them obviously makes them thicker for sure, 100%, but you're not going to see them if the body fat's too high. And naturally as well, especially as a beginner, you're going to be working them on your bench, on your squats and your deadlifts anyway on these movements. Naturally, your core will be obviously activated within these movements. So that's the original program in a nutshell. So for beginners, I would say it's pretty solid, right? It's got all the movements you need in there. It's got a good amount of volume in there, a good amount of variety, hitting obviously the body and the muscles from every single different angle. If you were to try it, I would make a couple of key changes, just as I said earlier, just to modernize the workout program a little bit, because back in the day, obviously from now till then, there's obviously been a lot more studies in terms of obviously what's better for muscle growth, reducing injury, etc., etc. And a lot of these guys back in the day that were trying Arnold's program and Arnold himself were naturally were using PEDs, so they're using steroids, and naturally, so they can recover quicker and they can grow muscle quicker, which naturally, because of the results these people are getting from trying this program, it can sometimes blur the lines of if this program is really effective or not. So if you do want to try it, there are a couple of different changes that I would make just to modernize it and make it a little bit more effective in my opinion. So first, as I said earlier, I would scrap the behind the neck pressing. I would put in there a machine shoulder press, or even if you are a little bit more advanced, a standard overhead press, right, with a barbell. So you're gonna get more stability, you're gonna get more out of the movement, and the risk of injury is a hell of a lot lower. Next, for the bent knee sit-ups, in my opinion, I would adjust them slightly for either one, a rope ab crunch. So you'll have like a rope, what you usually do your tricep extensions with, have that behind your head, and then literally just crunch like that, and you'll get more out of the movement. When you're obviously doing like sit-ups and crunches, yeah, they're okay. But again, if you're in a gym, obviously you've got a lot more equipment than obviously these guys did back in the day. You've got a lot more obviously different ways to target your abs in different angles. You do that. Or, again, if you're a little bit more advanced and obviously you've got a strong core, you can do standard leg raises either on a pull-up bar, or you can do it on a machine. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it's like, you know, where you do the dips and then you just turn the other way, have your lower back on the pad, and then you just lift your legs up out in front of you. Them, in my opinion, are the best ab exercises to utilize. Finally, the last movement that I would change is probably the barbell bicep curls. Like, yeah, 100%, it's obviously going to build your arms, right? But for me personally, I feel like you get a lot more contraction and a lot more mind to muscle connection, which is essential for building muscle when you're doing more like dumbbell work. Or you can obviously do like a cable curl essentially, right? Whereas with a barbell, yes, for example, obviously you're doing a curl, which is, again, it's in the name, right? But you are still working both arms at the same time. You're not working them separately, one after another, right? So for me personally, I would rather have 2 dumbbells in my hand than obviously a bar across it, right? Because then over time, it's naturally going to help me. Like for me personally, my left arm is weaker than my right. So over time, when I'm doing that, if I'm doing both arms and I'm doing 10 reps on both, for example, in the beginning, I might be able to get 10 with that easy, and I might struggle to get 8 out with this. But over time, the more I do it, naturally I'll be able to get 10 easy. So that's one of the biggest reasons why like I would do this. And same with what I said earlier, doing like instead of a barbell bench press, doing them with dumbbells because of the reason I've just mentioned, but then also because, again, you get a lot more range of motion where the bar will stop there, whereas you can bring that dumbbells a little bit further back. And the more your elbow goes further past your body, naturally you're going to get more of a stretch on your chest. So that's the Golden 6 program built by Arnold himself. So whether you try his version or you try the version that I've sort of like modernized and given some obviously advice on, let me know how you find it in the comments. Both obviously are going to get you very good results. But for me personally, if you have the capacity, should I say, to train 3 times a week or more, I would probably opt for either a push-pull legs or an upper-lower full body, just so you get a little bit more volume across different muscle groups. And you have the ability then to try a lot of different exercises for little different movements, which again, then you're going to see, right, what movements do I enjoy? What do I feel like works better for me? And then naturally you can double down on them instead of sticking to 5 or 6 exercises and repeating them 3 times every single week. So you've been watching this video this long and you made it to the end. You're obviously wanting to drop body fat and build muscle. So in this video here, I've given you a lot more clarity in terms of if you can train 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, which is the perfect split for you and which is going to work for you and get the most amount of results in the shortest amount of time. So click that link there. Any questions with any of this here, put it in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe as usual, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.